for some mood music to get me in the mood. Hello, your name is Masaik. You like me? Thank you. Hello, and welcome to the stream. To get me in the mood to do this review. Some mood music. I'm sure many of you guys were there with me when I was streaming this visual novel. Let's play Nakoruru's theme, I think. Nakoruru's theme is Feast of Nature. There we go. Okay, now let us talk about this visual novel. First of all, let me talk about the plot of this particular visual novel. So if you analyze the plot of Nakoruru, the gift she gave me, from start to finish, it's actually a very simple plot. It works like this. You have the narrator protagonist, 7-year-old Mikato, an orphan who was taken in by Nakoruru's village, Kamui Kotan. And there she becomes an assistant for Nakoruru. We don't find out until much later on, but the reason that she was made an assistant is because she's being groomed to become the next Shrine Maiden. Now, what is a Shrine Maiden? Nakoruru is the Shrine Maiden of Kamui Kotan. Basically, it's her duty to fight back demons, and to do Shrine Maiden duties in particular. But her main duty is because as the Shrine Maiden, she has the spiritual power to drive back demons. It's her duty to drive them back, to drive back evil, to defeat evil whenever it appears, and protect the village of Kamui Kotan. Apparently, this particular role is reserved only for Shrine Maidens because only they have the power to fight back against the demons. Which of course we do find out that it's true near the end of the story. Anyways, so the main plot revolves around Mikato's life over the 1 year that she becomes Nakoruru's assistant in Kamui Kotan. So there she meets a host of characters. There's the bratty Hokte. There is Manari, a childhood friend of Nakoruru. And she's a clumsy girl, but an amazing musician and a very good singer, which we find out much later. And there's Yantamu, who is also a childhood friend of Nakoruru. He basically does almost everything, and he does it very well. He's good at fishing, he's good at hunting, but he's also a womanizer. He's a very competent guy, but he also presents himself as a womanizer. And basically there's a love triangle going on in between the three of them. Basically, Yantamu loves Nakoruru, and Manari loves Yantamu. But Nakoruru also loves Yantamu back, but she can't, because as a Shrine Maiden she belongs to everyone. She has to protect the village, she has to forgo her own happiness in order to fulfill her duties as a Shrine Maiden. At least that is what she has decided, that she can't be happy Now, yeah, she's like the village idol. She's like the village's sacrifice. It's very similar to the plotline in Wild Arms 2. And it's exactly what Ashley, and no, not Ashley, what Marina, Ashley's fiance, really dislikes about the fact that he has to fight as a member of ARMS in order to defeat worldwide terrorists worldwide. Because Ashley believes that he's being a hero by doing so. But his fiancée, Marina, tells him that he's just a human being who can bleed, who can die. So no, she doesn't like it if she's a hero. If a hero is just a euphemism for sacrifice. That's one of my favorite lines in the game. I don't want you to be a hero if a hero is just a euphemism for sacrifice. And so, going back to Nakoruru, the gift she gave me. Hello, my sick Struzik. You like me, thank you. So, the plot revolves around the love triangle between the three of them, and then Mikato is sort of like as the narrator protagonist. She's sort of just like the catalyst between the three of them. She doesn't really get involved that much, although she does try, but she doesn't really get involved that much. She's more like an observer. And of course, beneath this main plotline, there's also an overarching plot about Mikato and her development in order to become the next shrine maiden of Kamui Kotan. Apparently, Nakoruru was supposed to train her, but instead of doing so, Nakoruru simply gives her a happy life for 1 year, together with her in the shrine maiden's house in Kamui Kotan. And that is where the title comes in, actually. That's where the title of the visual novel comes in. The gift that Nakoruru gave to Mikato is her 1 year of a happy life, 1 year of friendship. Because Nakoruru doesn't want her to suffer the same way that Nakoruru is suffering. So she gave her a happy life in Kamui Kotan. Of course, eventually, and I guess I've spoiled enough of the story anyway. Of course, eventually, new evil arises and Nakoruru has to fight against it. But she, being a reluctant fighter, actually sealed away her violent side and even created a new persona, which only Nakoruru and Mikato can see and interact with, and she's called Rera, the violent side of Nakoruru. Although I would say Rera is actually not wrong in many cases. She's not wrong in wanting Nakoruru to fight. Because eventually you have to protect yourself. And you have to be happy. I think that's what she said. You need to be happy yourself in order to be able to protect other people's happiness. And I think that Nakoruru should have embraced that side of her instead of sealing it away. Anyway, it's a brilliant plot, I would say. Even though it's very simple, as I've laid out, it's really, really simple, and you can see it happening. Like, you can actually predict certain things, like Yandamu's death. Because of the love triangle, the fastest way to resolve that death is Yandamu's death. Of course, what I did not expect, and it's actually what I liked about the ending, is that whoever wrote this, and this was greenlit by SNK, Nakoruru actually dies. Nakoruru dies at the end of this story, which you could have predicted if you saw. Yes, thank you very much. If you actually saw if you actually read the story from the very beginning, it was rather obvious that Yandamu would eventually die. Because that was the fastest way to resolve it. What I didn't expect was that Nakoruru herself would die. Now, hello Sir Jacob. Going back to that, I didn't expect her to die because after all, she's the main character supposedly. She's the titular character of the story. And of course she is the popular SNK fighting game character. She's the popular character from Samurai Showdown. I really did not expect them to kill her off like that in a visual novel named after her. And yet, I have to commend the authors for doing this. Because it actually makes sense in the context of the story. Especially the way it ties in with the themes that the story presents. Now, about the characters themselves. So, the characters themselves are probably the strongest points, strongest aspect of... I did the Miku adaptation well on my avatar. Thank you, Sir Jacob. And Sir Leon says that was some balls right there to do that. Indeed. Indeed. I'd say the characters are the strongest aspect of this visual novel. Because it's a slow burn type of visual novel. If you were reading with me from the very beginning, I think up to chapter 6 or 7, was it? Up to chapter 6, 7, in fact up to chapter 7, it seems like it's all peaceful, just relaxing, like Sir Jacob said. Everything is all peaceful, it's just life in Kamui Kotan, and slowly the characters are introduced to you. There's Rimaru, who is Nakoruru's younger sister, a bit bratty, and a bit of a bully to Mikato. There's Nakoruru herself, who is like a mother figure to Mikato. And there's her two friends. Manari, the clumsy girl with a heart of gold, and who has very strong feelings for Yantamu, obviously in love with him, and yet she never hates Nakoruru, even though she knows that Nakoruru is the girl that Yantamu probably likes. And then there's my favorite character is Yantamu. Yantamu seems like he would be a very abrasive character, right? He's a womanizer, he's a bit of a pervert. And yet, as you read along in the visual novel, even though Mikato is mostly oblivious to it, you can see that Yantamu is very reliable, and he's actually watching out for everyone. Everyone, absolutely everyone. Hello, the Shiny Hunter. Yantamu is watching out for everyone. When Manari is about to fall, he makes it look like an accident that she keeps falling on him. But actually, he was doing that on purpose in order to protect her. And even Nakoruru, he notices that Nakoruru is sad and not really content with her life as a shrine maiden, even though she tries her best to fulfill her role. So, she tells her to find happiness. She tells her that it's okay to be happy. And this is also because he's in love with her, of course. But I'd say even if he was not in love with her, I'd say he's the type of guy who would notice and who would try to do something about Nakoruru's sadness. And eventually, he does succeed. I would say he does eventually succeed in getting Nakoruru to not just open up, but eventually accept her own feelings. Even though at that point, I suppose, it was a little bit too late. And that is the tragedy of Yantamu. He's such a capable character. He's such a good guy. And yet, he was fated to die. We knew that. We knew it was going to happen. Am I right, Sir Leon? He knew that was going to happen eventually. It was a twist that actually makes perfect sense. And yet, he is my favorite character in the story. He didn't deserve to die, but for the story to become as beautiful as it was, in the end, he had to die. It was a twist that makes absolutely perfect sense. Especially as a writer myself, it's exactly how I would do that. So yes, the characters, even the side characters like the three sages, the three old ladies, you come to expect how they troll Mikato every now and then, eventually. And then you come to realize that actually they're subtly caring for her. They are subtly showing that they actually do care for her. And even Hokuto, of course. Hokuto is just looks like just makes himself look like a jerk, like some kind of brat from start to finish. Keeps calling Mikato, oh my. Oh, you my. It's like, hey you. I think they translated that as kid. But anyways, basically it's a very rude way of saying, hey you. It makes sense either way. As what do you call this? As localization. And so the characters really, really good. It's a slow burn. Yes. It's a very slow burn type of visual novel, but the payoff at the end, the emotional impact is immense. If you allow it, if you were actually following the story. It's really good. Yes, a lot of care was put into this localization. And I'm glad. Now, let's go to the art. The art is effective, I would say. Especially the background art. It's effective, but of course, as an artist myself, I can't help but notice a lot of the flaws, especially in the CGs. So, in a visual novel, a CG scene is a special scene drawn by the artist, aside from the usual game resources, like the character sprites. And even the character sprites themselves can look a little bit weird sometimes, like Yantamu looks like a regular guy, but Nakoruru and Manari They look like giant children. Actually, like very tall children. I suppose you could say it's an art style, but yet I think it kind of clashes when Yantamu looks normal, and Manari and Nakoruru look like basically tall children next to him, and they're supposed to be the same age. Aside from that, I'd say the art style is effective enough, and it's not really that bad. It's more like doujin quality than something I would say could be passed off as a commercial visual novel. But it's not bad. It's just as an artist, I can't help feeling sometimes that, you know what, I could have done that better. So that's it for the art. Now let's go to the themes. Sir Jacob says when they remade Kino's Journey and added the lolly and the talking dog, was that localization? It wasn't localization, Sir Jacob. Those characters were part of the light novel from the very beginning. The remake is faithful to the light novel. The remake is actually faithful to the light novel. Okay, now where was I? Themes, yes. I wanted to talk about the themes. So, I believe the localization team said something like the main theme of, or at least one of the main themes of Nakoruru, the gift she gave me, you like both of them. You enjoyed the original anime the best. There is an episode that I really love from the new anime, the new remake, Sir Jacob. The City of Liars episode. I'm not sure which episode it was. I think it's episode 7 or 6. City of Liars, one of the best episodes in any anime. Standalone. Like, you could just recommend that episode right away to anyone. Just watch that episode. And by itself, it's beautiful. The City of Liars episode. The Traveling Country. Which one was that, Sir Jacob? Is it the one about smashing the green plate? Now about the theme of Nakoruru, the gift she gave me, the localization team said that the theme of Nakoruru, the gift she gave me, is growing up. And I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree. It's one of the main themes, growing up. Especially since, hello Robert Kraken General, especially since Mikato, the main character, is only 7 years old. And she's being groomed to become the next Shrine Maiden. But I would say more than growing up, the main theme overall of this visual novel is passing the torch. Passing the torch, which of course are passing the baton to the next generation, which of course isn't really that incompatible with growing up. Growing up, passing the torch, it's kind of the same. But I would say it's more like that. It's more like passing on the responsibilities of the current generation to the next one. Which of course is from Nakoruru to Mikato. Everything that Mikato has been throughout the visual novel, all her experiences prepare her for eventually becoming the new Shrine Maiden of Kamui Kotan, more powerful than Nakoruru ever was. And another thing that supports this is that the song of the Shrine Maiden. I'd say the theme is doing what your parents or village want you to do, as opposed to living your own life. That's a very negative way of looking at it. Because at the end of the story, Mikato finds a way. Thanks to Nakoruru, Mikato finds a way to find her own happiness while also fulfilling her duties, her role, while not shirking her responsibilities as a shrine maiden of Kamui Kotan. It's something about, I think it's something about Japanese culture in general. They are more willing to look at the big picture. They're more willing to be how we would call them. Well, I'm not from the West, but, I'm very Western influenced. How we would call them in the West. They're very willing to be sheeple, to be just another face in the crowd, to be part of the machinery, than, say, somebody from the US who would immediately frown at the idea. I am special. I do my own thing. Why should I serve others? Why should I do stuff for the benefit of the greater good when I should be looking out for old number one? Yeah, that's how we think. That's how we think in the West, right? Okay, why am I including myself in that? Because that's how I think as well, I suppose. Like I said, I'm a lot more American than I am Asian, unfortunately, because of my upbringing. But anyways, well, yes, Western influence. Tumbleweed, you like being referred to as a West, partner. Better be prepared to draw, then. Just like tomorrow, I'm gonna be drawing real fast. Okay. And of course the music, which I'm playing right now, no need to even talk about it. The music is divine. Music is amazing. The musical scores, absolutely amazing. Very fitting. Just as it dispense itself. Look, stop it. I'm trying to be emotive here. You're trying to make me laugh. Stop. So yeah, I would say the main theme is passing on the torch to the next generation and being better for it. Because basically everything is about, in this visual novel, everything is about preparing Mikato to become the next shrine maiden and becoming better than Nakoruru. Not just at being a shrine maiden, but at being happy. Nakoruru gave her that gift. Yes, Nakoruru gave her the gift of happiness. Gave her the ability to think for herself and to try to find her own happiness. To be happy despite being a shrine maiden. Unlike Nakoruru, who was not happy. Who was always a reluctant fighter. And other than that, there's a love triangle between Nakoruru and Yantamu and Manari, which was actually one of the main focal points of the visual novel. But I'd say those things were just preparing us for the bigger picture. Because again, if you were reading with me from the very beginning, you would know that it was like the calm before the storm. all these little things in the village. Yes, Sir Jacob, allow me to explain why he gives his comb to Nakoruru, if you weren't there. It is a tradition in the village during that particular occasion. Annually, all the males prepare a comb, which they prepare a special comb, which they give to the woman that they love. And if the comb is accepted, then it's an acceptance of that love. So that's why Nakoruru choosing not to accept his comb was such a big blow to his ego. Because it's a big thing in the village. It's probably one of the most important festivals in the village, the most important events annually in the village. So that's why he actually breaks his comb when he's rejected, only to fix it again. Because of course he never really wanted to, because the comb is a symbol of his love for Nakoruru, and he was not going to throw that away. Okay, so that was, I would say those were the themes of Nakoruru, the gift you gave me. If you guys have anything to add, because I know some of you, or at least one of you, was definitely reading that together with me. If you think I missed something, you can tell me. So, now, it's time to end this review and start gaming. Let me just end with some of my overall thoughts on this visual novel. Like the translators themselves say, this visual novel does not pale in comparison to any other visual novel I've read myself in my life. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I never expected much from this visual novel. I expected it to be, so-so, to just be some kind of character fan service visual novel. But it really went above and beyond that. I would say this is a visual novel worth reading for absolutely anyone. Anyone who wants a cathartic story. And one more thing I forgot to mention. I like how it's very steeped in Japanese tradition. I did a little bit of research on the stuff they mention in this visual novel. Yeah, it's actually very accurate and references a lot of Japanese traditions, especially from the Ainu. Like Nakoruru's favorite dish to make, because seems she's not a good cook. Her favorite dish to make is rataskep. And rataskep, I looked it up, is from the Ainu people, and it basically means mixed food. So, I think it works sort of like a stew. Sort of works like a stew. You just put different ingredients there in a pot, and maybe a bit of water, and make a stew. It's probably what rataskep is. Basically, it's Ainu food. So those were nice little touches. And the backgrounds in the village, what was it called, the hearth in the middle of Nakoruru's house Those were nice little touches. Really shows you the amount of care that went into making this visual novel. And finally, to end this, once again I'd like to thank Derek Pascarelia and the translation team who worked for 2 years, over 2 years probably, on this translation project. Over 12,000 words. And a bonus disc to boot. A bonus disc they made themselves. I'd like to thank them for giving us the opportunity to read this and for me to actually stream this on my channel, because it was beautiful. Thank you very much. Yes, Cerulean says that was going above and beyond. I'm not afraid to say that I was in tears many times while reading this visual novel, because it was just that good. And of course, we shouldn't really be afraid to admit when a story affects us emotionally. It just shows that you really love it. So, with that said, it is time to game. That's enough of that.
Yan, 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 ni hao yan. God is a delicious in the culture.